Lakers win. The Lakers won against the Warriors. And if we really face the facts, then this should have never happened. And let's be real about that. But you could have saw it coming. Because let's face it, the Warriors have struggled all season. And that isn't a shot at the Warriors or something that I'm just saying to say it, but you remember the stretch of the season where it felt like they couldn't get anything going, where they were out of the playoffs, when people were like, "Are the Warriors really gonna be an out of the playoffs team?" And then it took them having to win and go on a tear at the end of the season just so they could have a chance at getting the 6th seed. I believe that everything the Warriors did this season looked amazing on paper, right? But it's worse on practice because Steph Curry was really who was lighting the torch for them, and even him, he was inefficient in the past few games because they finally figured out how to guard him, right? And in my opinion, the worst thing about this series, not about the Warriors losing, is that even though I wasn't going for them, this might be the end. Of course, they're going to run it back next year, and they're going to throw anything that money allows them to around Steph Curry so that he can hopefully just make something happen. But after this year, what is Jordan Poole's mentality? What does Draymond think about staying on the team? Because they were talking about trading him all year. But I think through this playoff run, they've realized, like, oh my God, he's been efficient. He played great defense. He's a playoff leader. And now you want to keep him? That's crazy. But the biggest question with the Dubs is, what do you do with Klay Thompson? Klay Thompson is a player who has won 4 championships, made All-NBA teams, made All-Star teams, and he's been one of the best players in the league for years now, but he is not fit to compete for the next 3 years, right? Like, he's got a few good seasons in him, but it shows that the injuries, the age, the disrespect, like, yes, last year he was good, but he wasn't even that good. It's just that they won. He did enough for them to win, and when he needed them, when the Warriors needed him, he came up big, and when he needed the Warriors, they bailed him out. And that's the sad reality, because if you watch last year, if you're actually paying attention, in the playoffs, he averaged 19 points, right? On 42% from the field and 38% from 3. Like, that's not a good stat line. And he dropped off from the regular season too, where he averaged the same percentage from the field. Oh my God, he stayed the same. He just averaged less points and less free throw percentage. That's crazy. I've never seen that in my life. He averaged the same percentage. But in my opinion, the problem with this Warriors team is that they have no depth. Last year, it was, we have the big 3, right? Steph, Klay, and Dre. And then we have a bunch of guys, right? Gary Payton for defense, Kevon Looney for rebounding, Jordan Poole for offense, playmaking, Jonathan Kuminga as a body, just to put out there, Iguodala as a vet, and just a bunch of guys. They had depth. They had Wiseman, which was injured and was so they had hope that when he would come back, they would go into a different mode as a team. And they had a different mentality, as you could see that they just wanted to win. They weren't supposed to be where they were, but they were good enough to beat anybody. This year, you could tell that they have this expectation upon them, which is obviously tainting the way that they're looking at things. Right? Like, the Warriors are so involved, right, with making the finals when they're good. When they're good is what I'm talking about. They are so accustomed to making the finals when they have good teammates. they are so accustomed to having great players, having players who come up in the clutch, having players who bail them out sometimes, even, and having miraculous things happen to their franchise, even when they maybe don't deserve it as much as other franchises. And this is not to say that they don't put in the work, that they haven't built this system, that they don't have great players, but the Warriors do have a streak of being lucky, right? With certain things, and that's just a fact. The Warriors have flamed out completely, and it's just a product of them not being able to keep riding the coattails of Steph Curry having a great game and Klay Thompson coming up big every 2 games, because that's an unsustainable formula. Which, even though yes, it did win you championships, it's not like it's gonna last 20 years of the same thing and you're gonna be able to get rings out of that every time. It was sustainable at one point, but the Lakers have to do something. No, the Warriors have to do something because they just got beat by a 7th seed. Moving on to happier topics, the Lakers won. I wanted them to win. I didn't know that they were going to, but I know that I wanted them to. And in my opinion, let me give a few shout-outs. First, LeBron James. 30 points, 9 rebounds, 9 assists. And this is what I was talking about. This is what I was talking about. The other day I made a video and I said that LeBron is not giving these stat lines. But when the game matters the most, we're going to need to see him step up. Because let's face it, LeBron had been playing good, but he was sleeping in a lot of the games which mattered for the series. He was just, vibing. And if that was getting them wins, right? He was doing just good enough to win, like Jimmy Butler does for most of the regular season. But in the playoffs, we're going to need to see that dog, that I just want to score, that we can win through you. And LeBron showed that. He was a plus 21 when he was on the court, right? And he was awesome. Anthony Davis did everything. He played defense. He got 2 blocks, 2 steals, got 0 turnovers, had 17 points on 5 for 9. That means that he only took 9 shots and he had 17 points. Of course, that has a lot to do with free throws and fouling, but let's face it, that's insane, right? The fact that you can be so effective on offense. And most of those points just comes from people who can't stop you. And then he had 20 rebounds and 3 assists. 20 rebounds. 20 rebounds. That's insane. That's how you impact a game, even if you can't do anything. Dennis Schroeder, they started him, which was honestly an executive decision which I didn't see coming. It worked out for them because they won the game and because he was very effective. Also, I want to give a few shout outs to D'Angelo Russell. He played awesome. If you actually watch the game, then he made a lot of important shots in places where they actually matter, not when they were up 20, right? I want to say shout out to Lonnie Walker because he had a phenomenal game where he scored 13 points on 4 of 8 from the field, 50% from the field, and like 60% from 3. And he did this all in 14 minutes of play time, which is insane. And Rui Hachimura, which also, if you watch the game, then he played pretty well. It's just that he got put in at the end of when it actually was competitive. So yeah, those are a few shout outs. Also for the Warriors, I do want to say shout out to Gary Payton. He had been playing great all series. Shout out to Kevon Looney. And shout out to Dante DiVincenzo, who had himself a game with this one. But yeah, finally, where do the Lakers go after this? What do the Lakers do? Are they championship contenders now? Because yes, you're in the Western Conference Finals, but maybe Denver just sweeps you. But are they actually going to win the championship? Is LeBron still good enough to carry a team to the highest esteem? Can a 7th seed actually win the championship? Is Anthony Davis good enough? And is his body strong enough to carry them to the finals? there's a lot of questions with this Laker team, but they just won the series against the defending champs, and they did it with a 20-point blowout. So, in my opinion, right now with the Lakers, we have to give them the respect, and we have to say, hey, these guys are legit. These guys actually want to win, and these guys have figured out how to play with each other in such a short amount of time. And this may be like 2018 LeBron, but now he has help. So let's see. But the Lakers look legit.